Hello, friends. Welcome back to the motherfucking podcast. If you're new here, my name is Reagan. Today's episode, we are talking about asking for other people's opinions before you can make any of your own decisions and constantly needing someone else to validate the decisions that you already know you want to make. Every single time you outsource a sense of decision making or like, is this really the right thing or need someone else's approval, you lose a shred of your own power. Or maybe even bigger. And this habitual act of always needing some external affirmation or confirmation of like why you want to do something or if something's right for you will always leave you disconnected from living in true alignment as your most organic self, authentically you. Because no one knows you better than you know yourself. And the only reason that we get detached from this is because we are conditioned and we grow up to think that like other people know better. We have to look to other people to understand how do we fit in, what's acceptable, what is right, what is safe. And all of this conditioning will seep into the rest of your life until you decide and you realize it and you decide to say, okay, I'm fucking done with that. I know what I want. I want to reconnect to myself. And how do I start? This episode is for you. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Organic Podcast. I'm your host, Reagan, mechanical engineer, lifelong athlete, and recovered overachiever, here to empower you to pursue your highest potential and live freely as your happiest, most organic self. Every week, we'll dive into topics ranging from personal growth, mindset hacks, psychology, and a blend of science and spirituality to give you all the tools you need to stop living on autopilot and start creating a life of freedom, meaning, and fulfillment as your most organic self. If you're ready to become the best version of yourself, then let's plant those seeds and grow. Truth be told, you guys, I have been so guilty of this for so much of my life, and it has only been within the past honestly this past year that I have really anchored into the ability to have my own sense of self-trust and have more unshakable confidence in that I can be myself, I can make my own decisions, I know what's best for me better than anyone else does, and I don't really give a fuck what anyone else has to say about it. And that level of freedom is something that is inspiring. It is something I wish for everyone else to experience, which is why I'm making this episode, clearly. I will say I have always had the trait, even since I was a child, that when I was authentically expressing myself, if I knew what I was saying, what I was choosing to wear as a fucking t-shirt, whatever it may be, when I knew that came from something that was unique to me that I really wanted to do, I did not give a flying fuck that was a really intense enunciation of the CK and the fuck there. But anyways, I did not care what anyone else had to say about it. Because I was like, that's great. I don't give a shit. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. So I have kind of been able to do this a little more in my life. But when it came to things like career, anything that was professional or on the scale of being an achiever, doing well in school, oh my God. Anything where I felt like I was straying from the mainstream system of what was expected of me, I was so scared to do that without asking 72 people, getting confirmation that it was okay, or debating and I don't know, picking people's brains, trying to understand well, is this really right for me? Other people are going to judge me. I'm going to seem irresponsible, I'm going to seem crazy, I'm going to seem whatever. But under all of those worries was a very small, very powerful, soft little voice of my intuition saying, bitch, you know what you want, it's not this, and that is why you are choosing this new thing. Or whatever it may be, insert the situation. A great example of this is when I was working an internship after college because I plan to go to grad school after graduating. If you guys have listened to my story before, this might be repetitive, but I majored in mechanical engineering, all in undergrad, graduated. Honestly, was not really planning to go to grad school for any particular reason. My oldest sister did, and I felt like it was the right thing to do and the responsible thing, and like, oh, it looks good to have another degree, whatever. Point being, like, I was not fucking obsessed with mechanical engineering. Like, I enjoy STEM. I enjoy engineering a lot. I like the technical work, and I've always been like that. And at the same time, I do not love thermodynamics, fluid dynamics, all of the like nitty gritty engineering stuff enough to want to be like, yeah, let me get a master's degree in like some in-depth research of some crazy fucking coding shit for fluid dynamics. Like, nothing wrong with it, just was not feeling like this burning desire and urge for me. It was kind of just like what I thought I was supposed to do, and it felt safe because it was the quote-unquote right path. So anyways, that's why I only had an internship and not a full-time job after getting out of school in 2024. Anyways, moving forwards, I did not like this job at all. Like, I felt so constricted there, and it had nothing to do with the people. It had nothing to do with the work. It was everything about the structure of sitting in a cubicle farm and being inside all day, doing work that I didn't really feel like was that meaningful on a global scale, because it was like more, and it was engineering obviously, but it wasn't like, it wasn't a crazy impact on the world. It was in something that was very niche and not really, I don't know, it wasn't really lighting me up at all. There were some situations and like unfortunate timing circumstances that kind of left me with minimal work to do. So it was just really unfortunate. And while I was working this job that as I said, I did not like, I realized like, I'm really fucking uncomfortable doing this. And up until this point in my life, I have always been very much like, follow the path. I'm supposed to go to school. I'm supposed to pick a good major that makes me good money. Like, I'm supposed to get a 9-to-5 job and climb the corporate ladder. And like, that's the only thing that my life is quote unquote supposed to look like by society standards on paper. And of course, my parents are going to encourage me to kind of follow that path because it is what's safe. It's the best thing to recommend to your kid. Like, I'd say most parents want their children to find a stable job, pick a major that pays them well, is like, you know, has a good structure behind it, and is a safe major. You know what I'm trying to say. So the path that I followed isn't something that I think is, you know, a bad thing necessarily, or even something that I didn't like for the most part. Like, I just didn't really think about it. I was just kind of following how the path that was laid out for me, that was like the best option, the most obvious option, and the option everyone else wanted to do for me. And all throughout high school, college, I didn't have this crazy ambition to be like, I'm going to go completely off the rails and like do my whole separate thing. And if you're someone like that, freaking kudos to you. And at the same time, another part of me is I've always had this inner sense of like, if I have to work, like, life is not just work. Life is not just follow a specific path and structure until you die. Life is like for you to create and actually live a fulfilling, meaningful, happy life for yourself that is not dependent on any external circumstances like a job or doing what like society thinks is correct, or like always picking the safe option. So I've had it's so weird. I've had both of these, you know, kind of paths in life, the path that's been laid out for me, but also this sense of like, I don't, like, happiness does not come from just following this fixed path and structure as if it's like a one-size-fit-all approach to finding fulfillment in life. Like, I hope you guys are following along. And I'm saying all of this because when I was on the high school, college, after college working, going into grad school path, that was me following what I thought I was supposed to do. And I was scared to do anything other than what was expected of me by my parents, by my peers, by professors, by like whomever, because I didn't know what lied in the unknown, and I cared so much about seeming like I was professional and following the right path and doing the right thing and like being a responsible member of society that I didn't want to be this like quote unquote degenerate who was unemployed after school, like going between jobs and completely switching my career field because I hated my job. But you know what? That's what ended up happening. And it is the best decision I've ever made. At the end of my internship, I deferred grad school because I was like, I knew I did not want to do mechanical engineering grad school, and I was looking to defer it to a different type of engineering, which is actually more the field I work in right now, which is environmental. And deferring that gave me time, obviously, that I wasn't going to school. So I said to my job, like, I still have wanted a break since graduating in terms of like an actual proper like set amount of weeks off, just to have some time to fucking breathe, maybe after 4 years of grinding, especially the latter 2 years of college. Like, we need a fucking break. Do you know how people do it in Europe or basically like anywhere else? A lot of other cultures, like this, it's not normal to get out of school and immediately be like, oh my God, I have to rush to go work a job. Like, if you're going to work for the rest of your life, why the fuck are you rushing? Like, if you are blessed and able to have the flexibility and freedom to potentially live at home or travel a bit and you have money saved up, like, why are you rushing? Why are you rushing? Separate note. But anyways, at the end of this internship, I had an agreement to have like 6 weeks off of work, and because I deferred grad school, I like explained the whole situation to them, and they were like, okay, great, we can maybe have you back as like an extended intern until you go to grad school. So I would have been working there another 9 months, and you guys, like, I was already tapped out, like, in human design, I'm not going to go in depth about this, so if you're someone who does not like hearing about things that seem quote unquote woo woo, then freaking block your ears or skip 30 seconds. But in human design, I'm a projector, and the sign that you're out of alignment is a feeling of bitterness. Like, that's like the main thing. I was a bitter motherfucker at the end of that job. And again, this is no shade to people, this is no shade to the company, this is no shade to anyone. It's literally just the structure of work like did not suit what I was looking for and what made me happy. So, to get to the point, which I'm so good at doing, at the end of this internship, I said, okay, 6 weeks off of work. Okay, maybe, like, you know, go back as an intern and I'll work until grad school and I'll go to grad school next year. Now, laying out that whole path, that was the next safest option. I already made a quote-unquote unsafe, risky, like, out there decision to defer grad school, which is like, oh my God, like, everyone take a seat, like, God forbid you defer grad school a year and like don't follow this exact plan of success that you think you'll actually fucking hate your life in, but like you're supposed to do it. Whatever. That path that I next chose, like the idea of having the break, working the internship, going back to grad school, that was the next like quote unquote safe option. And if I kept listening to what everyone else wanted from me, what I thought was expected of me, what was like the right thing to do on paper or the most logically safe thing to do, I would not be where I'm at right now. Not even close. Not even fucking close. And I guarantee you, I would be about 10, like, I would be miserable. I'd be miserable. I don't even want to think about it. I would be like a shriveled up little raisin prune human being because I would have hated how I was living my life because it was not in alignment with what I wanted. And this is where I bring it back to the point of knowing yourself better than anyone else knows you. We are going against the current when we decide to take power over our own sense of self and lean more into our internal sense of knowing and intuition about what is best for us. Because the current we're going against is everything we've been taught for our whole entire lives. Ask someone else first. Do the safe option, like pick the right thing based on what society wants of you and what like the good, like, I don't know, hardworking person would do. That has its place. Certainly has its place to have structure, to have like something to anchor you into a kind of goal, a like general path towards a sense of safety and being able to provide for yourself. And there's absolutely also a side where you need to get to a point, or you probably will get to a point where you're like, fuck that. Like, I can only do that for so long. I can only live by someone else's rules for so long. And as long as you are asking for other people's opinions when it comes to your life decisions, big or small, you are always going to be living your life on other people's terms and not your own. And that is not empowerment. that is not living freely. That is not living as your most authentic self. That is living as a version of you who is operating out of this like fear of, if I don't do what other people want me to do, that means I'm unsafe, they're going to judge me, and your brain goes into spiral mode because our primal brains get activated and we think that if we get judged, then we're going to be exiled and then we're going to fucking die, and it's a whole mess, which is why it's going against the grain. But you can't live fully for yourself, which is honestly the key to actually living a life that feels really good for you. You can't live like that if you don't listen to yourself before anyone else. And this is where intuition comes into play, your own sense of internal knowing. Call it whatever you want. Everyone has it. Everyone has an internal compass. Certain people have the dial of like the voice inside of them turned up way higher, and a lot of people have it buried very, very, very deep down inside of them because they've been so conditioned to believe it is safer, it is more comfortable to listen to everyone else's opinions. Because if you're always listening to what your parents have to say or what your siblings think of you, or acting out of this place of worrying about the external validation, like, then your brain thinks, okay, but at least I'm not going to be judged. I may not be as happy as I think I could be, but at least no one's going to judge me. No one's going to think I'm weird. No one's going to think that I'm like going too far, I'm too far gone, or I'm going off the grain, or whatever. But how would you rather live? Think about this from like the rest of your life perspective. I think about this sometimes, and I've always been like, my biggest fear has always been having regrets and like realizing, 5, 10, 20 years down the line of like looking back and being like, wow, there are so many things that I wish I did differently, or I wish I took the chance on something. I wish I cared less about what other people thought of me, because like, where could I be now if back then I said, I'm going to do what I feel called to do, regardless of what anyone else says about me, or I'm going to express myself however I want to express myself. I don't care if it makes other people uncomfortable. And with that example, obviously within reason, like, but if you are not hurting anyone, if you are living truly like based on the guidance of your soul, which is the source of that inner voice, BTW, you're fine. Like, you don't need to worry about what anyone else is saying about you, because if you're not harming anyone, then you're not doing anything wrong. Like, everyone, it's like we're all subscribed to this idea of like, you know what? This is the analogy I think of. Society has this quote unquote ideal picture, and we've all been conditioned and subscribed to believe that like there's this ideal way of living, and you have to get a job, and you have to be safe, and make the safe choices, and don't take risks that are too big, but also like don't waste your life away, have some fun. And I don't know, it's like the whole very cookie cutter kind of subscription to life that we are all sold, whether we realize it or not. I think of this as the representation of like, there's one person, and they have a whole bunch of marbles in front of them inside of like this little circle that's like, this is a really weird visual, but hang with me here. All of these marbles are inside of this wooden circle. And the circle represents like the safety of the structure of society that we have all collectively decided is like, quote unquote, the right thing that all of us think we should be living by, right? Okay, all these marbles in a circle that's fixed by walls and a person sitting in front of them. I see this person as like everyone's ego, who is in charge of making sure that like they stay in line, they keep all the marbles in place, and like everyone else stays in line. And the marbles are everyone else in this world who might be just in their world, in this person's environment, people that they see. And if a wall slips, if a marble slips out, this person, their only job is to keep everyone contained, and like keep everyone in this safe little box of the marbles. This is so crazy. And the person going outside of the box is the marble slipping out of this container. So really what's happening is when you're making decisions that don't go with the grain and don't go with the flow, but feel really right for you, and you know that like it's what you're being called to do, that is like the marble slipping out of this enclosed system. And the person trying to grab it and bring the marble back and keep everyone together, that is like our collective ego being like, whoa, 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 like, what are you doing? You're going outside of the thing. That's not safe. Like, we have to stay in here. Like, get back in here. And This comes out in the form of like projections and judgments and whatever it may be, that things that people have to say about you for going out of the line or doing your own thing. I hope that tracks. The point I'm trying to get at is, in reality, if every single person listened to like their own internal nudges and their inner knowing and like a sense of what they feel would actually make them happy, then we would all be living way more in alignment, and this world would be a lot better of a place because we'd all be a lot happier. But it's like we've all just subscribed to the idea that it's not safe to trust yourself. It's not safe to listen to your internal nudges and voice. And it's more safe to keep yourself inside the box of marbles and act like everything needs to be a certain specific way. And we all need to like follow suit and be in uniform in order to be living a happy life. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, that makes absolutely no sense to me at all. But it also makes sense why we get here, because it is more advantageous in a sense of being able to control a population when everyone feels disconnected from their ability to make their own decisions. Because, like I said before, if you are constantly outsourcing your sense of internal safety and the ability to make your own decisions, you are never going to be living a life for yourself. Ever. Literally ever. So, with all that said, if you guys followed along with my fucking marbles example, I'm going to have to draw that out. So I think I'm literally going to get a whiteboard and start making more YouTube videos where I am explaining my thoughts out on a whiteboard, fully drawing them out. But to get back to my point, when you are constantly outsourcing, you are never connected to your internal sense of knowing. And when that happens, it can be hard to even understand like what your internal voice feels like, because you're so used to listening to everyone else and prioritizing what everyone else has to say before yourself. So the way to kind of shift that, it takes consistency, and it's going to take time, and it's not going to happen overnight. But choosing what you want to do in the smallest of moments, or even big moments, that's going to be the biggest catalyst to actually shift to like hearing your own internal voice. You do not need to ask other people what is right, what should I do, what should whatever, before trying to listen to your own internal sense of knowing. Because you have it. Everyone has their own sense of intuition. Everyone has the compass of their soul's guidance that is always trying to get through to you. Like, your soul is always trying to speak to you. You're not running this alone. You're not just like one singular human being just floating on a rock in the middle of nowhere with like absolutely nothing above you, higher than you, to anchor you in and connect you to like a higher purpose, because everyone has it. Our souls cannot be created nor destroyed. They're infinite. Like, our souls are a form of energy. This is literally a physics thing. I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. Like, legitimately, we cannot even comprehend the like impact that our souls have on us just like living on Earth. And your soul speaks to you through your intuition. Your soul speaks to you through your inner guidance. And every time that you ignore it and choose what someone else says over you, that connection weakens. And it doesn't mean that it's gone. It doesn't mean that can't come back. It just means that you strengthen your intuition by actually listening to it and choosing yourself and choosing to do what you want to do. My intuition at the end of that internship, and even during it, was telling me, I don't really want you, grad school for mechanical engineering, like, not the move. You know, it's also not the move, this job. Like, you know what you want to do. You've known for a while, like, I wanted to switch career fields entirely. And it wasn't a huge pivot, but it was a big pivot for me as a girl who had followed the regime my whole life of what I was supposed to do. And, like, this was a very, quote-unquote, out of the norm move for me. But my intuition was telling me, and I knew inside of my soul, that it was not right for me to stay where I was. And honestly, I'm really fucking glad that I was so miserable, because if I wasn't, I never would have been pushed to the point that actually drove me to be like, okay, this is enough. Like, we're done. We are done here. I'm not doing it anymore. And that decision led to the 6 weeks off, which led to me actually switching fields entirely, applying to new jobs, starting my YouTube channel, starting to talk online, and it has just continued slowly but surely to where I am now. When you listen to the breadcrumbs of what your inner knowing is trying to tell you at all times, it will lead you to a better place than where you are right now. Every single time. The guidance of your soul and of your intuition never leads you to a worse place than where you are right now. But it's only your brain, it's only your ego that convinces you, but wait, it's so much safer to just listen to what everyone else wants me to do, because then I won't be rejected and I don't have to deal with the unknown and I can just stay comfortable my whole life. But do you want to be comfortable your whole life? Do you want to wake up in 20 years and be like, shit, what could I have done? What could I have become? Like, how could my life look right now if I actually decided to foster more of a relationship with my inner self and like just understanding myself, hearing my own internal knowing before anyone else? What would happen if I did that? Like, where would I be? Do you want to wonder that? Or do you want to actually choose today to start listening to yourself before you listen to other people? So to give you some action steps, especially if you're someone who's like, bitch, I don't even fucking know what my intuition is. I have not listened to myself once in my entire life since I was like 5 years old. I am going to give you a couple things that have helped me connect more deeply to my intuition. One, journaling. Like, journaling out your thoughts and just making space. It doesn't even have to be every day, but just having a journal with the intention of and having an outlet for your thoughts, your inner world, like just your thought process. That is huge. That allows you to like process all of these thoughts that otherwise are just going to stay in your head and just like keep circulating and keep you in the same kind of loops for like so much longer than if you just get it out on paper. Every time I journal, I feel so much less stressed out. It's like you just dump, it's just a brain dump onto paper of all of the things that are worrying you. And this is especially good when you are maybe like potentially like I was debating a big decision or like trying to figure out a big life shift. It's a very helpful tool for that kind of introspection and to be able to just like think through everything on your own terms. Because when you're journaling, it's not like someone's looking over your shoulder like telling you what you're supposed to think. You are just with yourself, like talking your thoughts out. So that's a very healing thing just in general, but especially for connecting to yourself that I've really benefited from. Another thing is listening to a lot of podcasts about like intuition and hearing your own voice and kind of just like why you want and crave external validation in the first place. This can take some internal introspection to kind of rewire your brain and understand that like it actually is safer to trust yourself before others. But that's the crux of the issue, is like you don't have enough self-trust and confidence in like your own decisions, so much so that you think that other people know better than you. And sometimes changing that just takes the awareness of like hearing me say that, or just realizing that like how much your internal sense of power is being, leaked out to other people. Just that realization alone, I think, is really helpful and can be really impactful to help like kind of change the tides here. But like I said before, making small choices just for yourself, like based on your own opinions and like what you know is best for you, regardless of what anyone else says, doing that in small moments and big moments just consistently is really going to help build that intuitive muscle that helps you have more confidence in listening to your internal voice and being able to hear it a lot better. And an exercise that I just thought of would be, how I was talking about how I hate the idea of regret and waking up in 10, 20 years being like, what could have happened? It can be so eye-opening to do a journal exercise where you write out like, how is your life right now? Like, what are your habits? What things do you believe about like what's possible for you, about yourself, about trusting yourself? Like, write out your life exactly as it is right now, and then ask yourself, like, is this how I want my life to look in 5 years? If I stay the exact same, how is my life going to look in 10 years, in 15 years, in 20 years? If nothing changes, how is my life going to look, and how do I feel about that? Something along the lines of reflecting on like, if I actually keep asking people for their opinions before I make big decisions, small decisions, whatever, like where is that going to leave me? And on the flip side, if I actually decide to have like complete self-trust and back myself in my own decisions and like everything that I know I want to do for myself, like how is my life going to look? When you compare those two options, it kind of helps your brain logically see which one is obviously better for you. And also the fear of kind of losing out on the potential of like what could have been. Although it sounds scary and I'm not trying to be like fear mongering right now at all, sometimes your brain needs the wake up call of being like, bitch, if we keep fucking asking people and people pleasing and like always needing someone else to approve our plans, like it's not gonna be good. Like there's a better option out there. You can learn to trust yourself again. You can learn to understand the language of your own intuition. As I said, every single person has it. And everyone also has a unique purpose and like a way of living in alignment that allows you to be happier, healthier, more authentic, and just like living a more fulfilling life. Everyone has like a more ideal path to be living on, but actually getting there takes like listening to the breadcrumbs of your own internal sense of knowing, which is built from more self-confidence, more self-trust, and actually growing the muscle of hearing your intuition. The final message I leave you with is, again, if you are always asking for other people's opinions for how you should be living your life, you are never going to be living life fully on your own terms. You will always be living on someone else's terms. That is not freedom. And to change that, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes consistently choosing your own sense of knowing before other people's and trusting yourself before trusting what other people have to say. And if you've been conditioned to do the opposite and like always listen to what other people have to say all the time for your whole life, like I said, it's going to take a while. It takes patience, it takes consistency. It doesn't take like a grueling amount of practice, discipline, like you have to be super rigid with it. It just takes intention and a desire to actually have like a greater, stronger relationship with yourself and be able to move through life knowing like, I am so confident in my decisions. Like I am so self-assured and I know what is right for me. Literally anyone could say anything and like my decision would not be swayed because I'm so confident that like this is right for me. I even had a decision come up lately where this came up again. But I really have come so far when it comes to this because like I made a decision that on paper you could say it's not logistically smart. Like it's not the right thing to do. Blah, 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 blah. But I know myself so deeply. I know how I am. I know what I want. I know what's right for me. I made the decision that I did from that like such a fucking deep sense of internal confidence and knowing that anyone could say literally fucking anything to me and I would just bat my little eyelashes and be like, thank you. That's great. Like noted. I don't give a fuck. Like I'm going to go do my thing. I know this is the right thing for me and you can go do your thing. Thank you very much. So anyways. All right, you guys, being vulnerable here, I completely forgot to record my outro, so I'm doing it on my wired headphones in my echoey ass room. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Go be your most organic selves, and I will see you in the next one.